Hey guys, waiting on Grass-Fed Girl to come on. Hey Becky, there she is. And see you guys all popping on. Thank you guys for tuning in. Just waiting on Caitlin.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, there she is. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so good to see you, and thanks for coming on to talk about this. I think it's a topic that a lot of people are stressing out about a lot right now.
Can you hear me good?
Yep, can you hear me all right? Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks you guys for tuning in. Caitlin and I, Grass-Fed Girl, I kind of messaged her last week and I was like, hey, would you be interested in doing a live video with me about how to stay carnivore during the holidays? Because we've got Thanksgiving next week. And I know it can be a really stressful time of year. And I know Caitlin and I have a lot in common. I just relate a lot to a lot of her posts and just her feelings around food. And, you know, we have a lot of the same struggles. And so I said, let's just do a live, kind of Q&A or video to help encourage people and talk about strategies of staying carnivore during the holidays, which I guess officially kind of starts next week. So, yeah.
Well, you could count Halloween, I guess.
Yeah, we made it through that. You know what? This Halloween was actually the first Halloween I've ever had that I did not binge on candy. Like, first year. So, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I started a carnivore last October of 2018. So it's a year for me. I just had my carniversary.
Yay!
And I'll tell you what I did last year was I pretty much, I resigned the treats just to the specific day. So I made because my birthday's also at Christmas. It's not on Christmas, but it's the 19th. So I knew, so I know for one or maybe more of those days, I made like a keto cheesecake and I ate that. So I would say always keep everything sugar-free as best you can on keto. Because I feel like to me, that's still a cheat, but it's still kind of in the realm of, staying a little bit within the rails. You're not going completely. Because with the sugar, there's no breaks, So if you start with anything that, is around, there's endless amounts of stuff that is available, and, it's very emotional time, and your family pushes your buttons. Yes. And, so if you start on that trail with the sugar, you're toast, and, we've talked about this before. I don't do very well with nuts, so I would even make my cheesecake with no nuts. I just make it in a ramekin, So it was almost carnivore except for the sweetener. Yeah. But I just knew that I wanted that because to me also when it's in one little small thing, like that's it, it's over. I'll make like one for each person and that's it, Yeah. So that kind of worked for me last year. Also, when it's after dinner, I love decaf coffee, so I drink a lot of decaf coffee just to kind of keep my hands busy. So I didn't have to have that dessert every single time. It wasn't every single get together. It was just on those certain special days, and that kind of kept me from going, but also not feeling so deprived. If it's my birthday, I don't know. I want to have something, Yeah. But I would always make it myself. And I'm not going to be it's going to hurt my stomach a lot if I do some kind of big nut cake or, something. It's going to be really painful. And I think also the next day, because I don't feel as good, I feel ready to get right back on track. I feel like so if you have it on one day, just have it and then be done, you know, go to the next day and start fresh, because you know that's what you want. Don't let it go from 3 weeks, you know.
I think that's the trap that a lot of people kind of fall into. I'm one of those people, you know, my personality, I'm more of an abstainer than a moderator, because I'll have something like my birthday this year. My birthday's in June. So my birthday this year, I kind of was having this discussion with a few people on Instagram, because I put up a story and I was like, I think I want to have a dessert for my birthday. And so many people were like, don't do it. And I'm like, but you only turned 40 once, and, you know, I really want to have this, you know, I really want to have this nice dessert. And a lot of people were like, no, don't do it. And I ended up having dessert, and I was okay. But what happened for me is like and my birthday is June 11th. So the whole rest of the month, I was like cheating. It just like mentally, it's so, for me, because I just know my personality type, it's so hard for me to just have a thing on one day, because what it does to me mentally is it just kind of takes me, it's like, it gives me permission, you know. And once I open that door of permission, it's so hard to be like, okay, you know, we're done, we're moving on. You know, even if I feel bad, sometimes I'll use like feeling bad as an excuse to just kind of like keep going. So if you and I like what you're saying, like to keep it a keto thing, and not to actually allow sugar.
I mean, I would not even, I wouldn't even consider eating sugar.
That's what I did on my birthday. I was like, let me try the chocolate cake and the cheesecake. We got a bunch of desserts, and I was like, let me try all of them. And then I spent a month trying to get back on track. And it was like, I just don't want to put myself in that situation. That's why I'm like, let's strategize. So this year, are you going to do the same thing? Are you going to do like a keto kind of dessert for those holidays, or what are your plans?
Well, I know, I mean, that's some of the tips I was going to go over. Like, I've already gone and talked to, my dad wants to have a standing rib roast. So I've already gone and talked to them at the store to see when we can get that and everything. So, you know I'm going to have a huge portion of protein and fat in the standing. So that's like a prime rib, basically. So, you know, so that's, the meal's already taken care of, basically. That's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't know about the rest, but, so that's, first of all, you have to have your, you know, what you're having in mind, for your, and you might need to host it. Like, I mean, my sister had a party, a Friendsgiving with some people last week, and she took the whole turkey because she wanted to make sure she had her food, you know.
Yeah, she's carnivore too.
Yeah. And so you can follow her. Ellen is hangry.
Okay.
She has lots of tips about brining turkey and stuff.
Oh, I need to see that.
So she took the turkey, and it was a big hit, and everybody loved it. So, I mean, she knew she was going to have her protein, and she made the gravy. And so, you know, you have to have that in mind. You can't just go with no plan. You know, you either you host it, or you bring the meat.
Yeah.
Or you could say, you know, let's go to a restaurant this year, and that way you can pick the restaurant and order what you want, you know, just get a big steak or something. And then, you know, you got to make sure that you're staying on track with your sleep and your electrolytes. Because I know if I do fall off the wagon with carnivore, it's because one of those things is messed up. You know, my sleep is messed up, or I'm craving, my electrolytes are messed up. So then I'm craving something that I shouldn't really be craving. So you have to get those nailed down all the time.
Yeah, and you just did a great video I watched on your YouTube channel just about electrolytes. I thought that was very helpful. So I'm going to post this on my YouTube. I'll link up to that underneath this video once it's posted, so people can make sure they're really taking care of the electrolytes. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think people make it too complicated, but you really have to just put a lot of salt in your mouth or your water. So, that so look back on the times that you did cheat, you know, like, were those things off for you? Most likely, yes, you know.
Yeah.
I know, yet, you know, if I ever fall off, it's always because I didn't sleep good, or I got too dehydrated, or I got, you know, too depleted in my salt. So those are really important things. And then I know you've talked about this a lot with your family. I mean, you just say no. Like, you have occasions where you just say, no, we're going to stay home. We're not going to do whatever you want to do. So how do you, because I mean, my sister's carnivore and my dad loves meat. So my stepmom is the only one who likes chicken. so we make her chicken, and then we'll eat whatever we want.
Yeah. See, that's great. You know, it's different for me because we have like two sets of families. So we have my husband's families on one side of town, and then we have my family on the other side of town, and they are both hosting meals. One's like, you know, a noon meal, and the other one's like a 4 o'clock meal. So, you know, my husband and I have been kind of strategizing about it, of like, because our daughter, you know, and I've talked about it on a lot of videos before, I can't bring her around like a bunch of rolls and a bunch of cakes and a bunch of desserts, and that's all going to be out there. And so, you know, I've kind of, and that's actually, you know, it's kind of a good thing, because then I'm not going to have to be around that stuff so much as a temptation. So we've kind of just talked to both families, and we're like, hey, you know, we're going to come in, we're going to visit, we're going to see how Alexis does. If she is really just after all the cakes and desserts and sweets, and like, you know, if we have to leave, we just have to leave, you know, for both. And sorry, we can't sit down and like have this meal with you guys. But for my daughter, like, if, you know, for those of you who don't really know, she's severely autistic, and she really reacts to food, like severe reactions. Like, she gets bread, or she'll get food dyes, or she'll have sugar, and she'll be off for days, like 3 or 4 days. She'll be crying hysterically. She'll get really bad behaviors. Like, she'll get violent. She'll scratch us. Like, she's a great kid, but she really is sensitive to foods. And so, you know, thankfully they are pretty understanding of that. So, you know, I guess we're lucky in the regards that we can kind of just drop in, say hello to everyone, then if it gets overwhelming, leave. So our plans are just to kind of, we're not even really planning on doing a whole ton of eating. Just, you know, just visit, make it more about, you know, connecting with everyone as much as we can, and then kind of getting home and doing our own thing. And we've got, you know, we're probably just going to grill some ribeyes and then cook my daughter something. So we have a nice meal that's for us. We're going to get some nice meats, go to the butcher shop and get the good stuff. You know, because those events with all the food and the buffets and all that stuff is just like, it's really hard for her, you know, and it's hard for us too to deal with the aftermath of that too. So,
I mean, I think it's like that for all kids. I mean, I know I mean, maybe not as severe, but I think all kids start at, you know, they all react to sugar. They all act out. Yeah, they all, I mean, all kids are affected by food dye. It's just whether we choose to notice it or not. I mean, it's all, you know, if your kid's throwing a tantrum and screaming and, I mean, crying like an hour after they eat sugar, well, there you go.
Exactly.
Well, that kind of brings up another thought I had, was to not make it so much about the food.
Yeah.
Like in the morning, I know we're doing 2 days because I have a mom and a stepdad, and you know, like, so we're gonna do something on Thursday, and that will be with my mom and my little brother, her son, and my half brother. And so I know for that day we're gonna go on a hike, and I mean, if it's nice, you know, if it's not raining or something, but we won't be so focused around the food. You know, like a lot of people do those fun runs and things like that on Thanksgiving. I mean, I've done that before, but that was when I was doing like my chronic dieting and all that. But, you know, there's things you can do to where it's still family time, but it's not about the food. And I think finding something like that where you go to a park or something where you're just getting away from that, just sitting and stuffing yourself kind of thing. I mean, we might go to a restaurant on Thursday. I don't know. But I definitely want to do a hike or something in the morning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's lots of things you can do. You don't have to do what, you know, and I used to live in San Francisco where everybody's from everywhere else. And so you honestly, a lot of the time you wouldn't even realize it was a holiday because it's so multicultural that a lot of people don't even do the things that like they do in the South. You know, it's so different because I mean, we're both from here, and it's like, I like that in a way.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to, it's not like this mandate. You have to do this, you know, everybody's doing it. Like
Southern people, my family, very, very Southern. It's almost like and this is something I've had to do years of working on. It's like they make you almost kind of feel guilty if you don't eat the food. And if you don't sit down at the dinner table and you don't, because my mom was kind of starting in on me last week of like, you know, you guys are going to come and sit down, aren't you, at least this year? Because I think last year we kind of had to like cut and run because Alexis was having a hard time. And I was like, no, I'm not going to watch her stuff 16 rolls in her face and have to deal with a nightmare for the whole weekend. No. So she was kind of guilt tripping me a little bit because she's, you know, Southern lady that we do casseroles. We do multiple desserts and ice creams and everything. And if you don't eat it, you're offending someone. So I've had to like over the years really work with my family and be like, hey, like, I love you, you know, try to make my mom feel valued in some other way than me eating and try to help her understand. Like she's seen my daughter like have enough meltdowns. I'm actually like, it's like I said, it's almost a good thing. Cause for me, when I used to be like, oh, I'm just not going to, you know, eat that, like she would get really upset. But with Alexis, she's kind of like, oh, I've seen you have to like physically drag her out of the house before after she's eaten stuff. So I kind of get it a little bit more. But just having like being able to tell your family no, I think that's hard for a lot of people because we don't want to disappoint our family members, especially our moms and grandmas and, you know, our aunts and all that. We worry about what they're going to say. So I think that's.
But I think, but that just goes back to, I mean, that goes back to everyday life. I mean, as I've gotten older, and I'm sure you've realized this too, it's just, everybody wants to put you in a box, you know, everybody wants to, because that makes them feel better.
Yes.
It makes, I mean, just remember when you weren't married and they were like on you, get married, get married, get married. And then have a kid, have a kid, have a kid, have a kid, and go to college, whatever the hell it was. That makes them feel, okay, check, check, check. You know, the boxes are full. So, okay, Sarah's doing all right. We can relax, you know.
Right.
And it's the same thing, you know, fit into our box of Thanksgiving, you know, it has to be this way. And I mean, it's kind of nice. My parents are getting older and they're not as into the cooking now. They want us to cook. Because my husband's a chef. My sister loves to cook. So they kind of like, whatever y'all want to do, you know, they're not as, and, you know, my grandparents are not, I mean, most of them are dead. I have one grandma that's still alive, but it's not the way it was when I was a kid, you know, where they decide everything. I feel like we have a lot more autonomy now to decide what we want to do. And so that, I mean, it depends on your phase of life too,
yeah, that's true. And one thing I heard Keto Mary say the other day was, you know, sometimes we go to parties or we go to holiday things and we make a big deal out of it. Oh, I wish I could eat that, or I can't eat that, and I won't touch that, you know. And I think that that's really important for anyone going to a big event. Like most of the time people are kind of so busy, like focusing on what they're eating or maybe watching their kids, or you know, interacting socially, unless you bring it up and unless you make it a big deal, they're not necessarily going to even notice. Because I've had so many scenarios of places that I've been, and I'll just eat beforehand. You know, I'll just eat a big ribeye or something really satiating, like, so that I'm just stuffed, I'm not hungry, and I'm just going to just socialize, you know? So I think that could be something for other people as well. Because, you know, once you start making an issue out of it, everyone else is going to be like, well, why are you doing that? And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Especially if you're new to carnivore, do not open that can of worms at Thanksgiving. Like, just kind of push some veggies around on your plate and, you know, eat the turkey and the ham or whatever the heck is there, and just talk about the weather or something. Like, it is not the time to talk about cholesterol or anything like that, you know, or heart disease or vegetarianism or anything else. Like, nobody's gonna notice how much you eat, or as long just eat and don't say anything. I mean, I've definitely pushed some veggies around on my plate, and in situations where people didn't know me maybe as well or something like that, and I didn't want to make a big fuss, you know. So as long as you eat something, they probably won't notice, you know. Drink a lot of LaCroix or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And so did you want to go over some of the questions that you got sent in?
Did you get some questions too? I just had a few questions, but I don't know if you got any.
I have a couple, yeah. But,
okay. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't mind. I think you were saying about the cholesterol one. I mean, I could say a couple things about that too.
Okay, yeah, if you wanted to. Yeah, so I guess one of the questions we had a couple like health related questions that I was like, well, it's not really like, you know, holiday topic, but someone had asked about cholesterol, like what we think about having high cholesterol, if you want to answer that one.
Well, they were saying that I don't remember everything they said, but it was basically like their total cholesterol was high, and their LDL was probably high, and then their triglycerides and their HDL was really good. Yeah, which is a very common pattern. Yeah, I know the thing is, you want to look at one of the best books about that is Cholesterol Clarity by Jimmy Moore and Dr. Westman. You want to look for the patterns and not just the individual numbers. So definitely, if your triglycerides are good, that's one of your biggest diabetes markers. So if your triglycerides are low, that is really, really good. You know, and cholesterol is a healing substance. You know, a lot of the time when you have really high cholesterol, it's a signal of something else being wrong in your body, a signal of high inflammation. So cholesterol will rush up and be increased to heal up certain parts of your body that are inflamed. So I know for me, one time when my thyroid was really out of whack, my cholesterol was super high. And then as soon as I got my thyroid medication on track, my cholesterol went back to like 200, 250. And also you got to look at, if you look historically, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the numbers were all higher. Yeah. As the push towards statin drugs has become more and more, they've lowered the numbers. So people didn't just get sicker, they just lowered the numbers. Yeah.
The RDA has changed so many times. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, and so, and I would just go get a second opinion, third opinion. Yeah. And there's also certain changes of time of the day, how long ago it was since you ate. Yeah. If you had a big fatty meal, I think I don't know I can't remember if it's better to fast or not fast, but I know
you just don't want to fast over, I think it's like 14 hours. Like the longer that you're fasting, the more that can skew the number. Okay. So if you're doing a longer fast than 14 hours, then definitely you don't want to check those numbers.
And definitely, like, if you have a big reading, wait 2 or 3 months, do it again. Because especially if you're new on carnivore and keto the same way, you can get a big change in your numbers at the beginning, and then they level out after a while too. So I mean, the main thing is just don't freak out. But I would freak out if you have like a high A1C, if you have high triglycerides, if your HDL is really low. I don't see how it could be if you're actually keto or carnivore, because you're eating a lot of healthy fat. So just get that book, Cholesterol Clarity, and really do your own research and be your own advocate about that. And don't talk about it at Thanksgiving dinner.
Do not bring it up at Thanksgiving. Don't bring up fasting. Don't bring up carnivore. Don't bring up cholesterol.
No.
Politics,
or politics.
Your own. It's for me, talking about food is just as bad as like trying to bring up politics and religion. I'm like, I'm too old for this. I don't want to. I think one of the other questions was about going to a party and what you would do to prepare for a party, and like what you would drink at the party. What do you think? Are you going to any parties, or if you had to theoretically go to a party, what would you do to prepare, and what would you drink at the party?
Well, I would definitely just try to find as much information as I could about what's gonna happen. And like I said, if you do want to eat there, then definitely bring something like a charcuterie plate or something like that. So you're definitely going to have something you can eat, because you don't want to get hungry and then be stuck there. And maybe your ride doesn't want to leave, or you could get an Uber to Wendy's, I guess. And like you said, eat before. If you think it's going to be just like chips and dip, like eat before, then you don't have to worry about it. Or, if you are a good faster, then fast through it and eat when you get home. Either way, before or after. But just I don't believe that, especially in the holidays, especially if you're new to carnivore, you need to eat as much as you can, because you're not going to be strong enough to go in a party hungry. And stare at a bunch of pretzels and whatever the crap that is there and be able to be okay. Because if your blood sugar drops, you're going to start freaking out, and you're going to be like, I don't care. And then that could start, like you said, a 3-week binge, you know? So
exactly what it would be for me. It's like, I'm getting on this train. I have no idea when it's going to stop. So don't even go there.
And I mean, you have to go back to your why too. I mean, why did you start this? It's probably because you have a health problem, or you have so you're saying, well, I'm going to go for another 2 months and feel worse and maybe be even sicker than I am now when I decide to start this,
Exactly. And I think an important thing for people is drinking at a party. I think that for me, I don't drink at all, but alcohol for sure, if you're drinking at a party, is going to lower your inhibition. It's also going to lower your blood sugar. That's one thing alcohol does, is it lowers your blood sugar. So it's going to make you more hungry and more susceptible to just put in whatever mouth,
it's gonna spike your blood sugar and then drop you down way low after.
That's what I meant to say.
I mean, it's gonna drop it, but lower than even that you ever felt before. And that's why you get those late night munchies. That's that feeling from college when you were like in the Taco Bell drive-thru, that you like have to eat something. So our advice would be don't drink, because neither one of us drinks. Because we have such problems with sugar and alcohol that we can't even drink one drink. But if other than that, if you are able to drink one drink, I mean, always choose like a plain liquor with no added sugar. So don't get a Bailey's, for example. Get just like a vodka soda or, I don't even know. I quit drinking 13 years ago. So so I forgot. No, I used to drink Diet Coke and like Bacardi, like in college. which is also, you know, a low carb thing. But you know, you definitely don't want to have, you know, alcohol does react like sugar in your body. So don't add any more sugar to it. So that is definitely if you make a drink, make it with your own. I know my sister likes that White Claw stuff. I'm not sure what all that's about, but it's like a seltzer with alcohol added to it. I don't know what it tastes like, but something like that is going to be less detrimental than having a margarita from Chili's, you know, or something like that.
Or a White Russian, or just, no.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
But I love anything with cream in it. I'm like, you know, I don't even need the alcohol. Just give me the cream. And the coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Just anything like that. Oh my gosh, like Haagen-Dazs. That's my favorite. Like coffee Haagen-Dazs.
Oh God, that sounds really good. No.
Yeah, but that's why, like, I mean, having, you know, I just say stay away from sugar altogether, because I mean, and even for me, sugar substitutes are a problem. I mean,
I can't do them. I
tried to eat some some whipped cream, and it was made with Lakanto, but it just was like, it's like a trough, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, so I'd rather just not go there.
Sugar, the sweeteners just kind of perpetuate my sweet tooth, because, you know, they are sweeter than sugar. So you have to think about what it's doing to your brain, and then the chemical reaction that's going on inside your body.
And I don't think anybody really knows what those things are made out of anyway. So, but I mean, if you are going to eat it, I think it's better to eat that than eat sugar for you know, going really crazy and completely losing. Let's see if we had some questions earlier in here. Can you see them, or I'll go back?
I can't be able to see them.
Okay, let's see here. There was, I saw a couple. Okay, I would like to know what I see in the dishes they publish seems fat without cooking. Could you explain to me where do you buy it, please?
What is that?
I don't understand that one.
I don't get that one either.
All right. Okay, somebody said that you made that so simple for me, electrolytes. I carry my real salt with me. I guess they're talking about my video.
Oh yeah, the electrolyte video. That was really good.
And somebody was talking about that you take good care of your daughter.
Aw.
And then they were saying how when you have your first kid, right after that they say, when's your second kid?
When's your second kid? Yeah.
And somebody said we taught them how to say charcuterie.
I can't say it. I'm not even gonna try.
I mean, it's only taken me, I mean, I grew up eating, you know, I did not grow up as a foodie. So it's only been since I moved to California, and then, you know, learned a lot of things from my husband who went to culinary school.
Okay,
so.
That makes sense, because I have no idea how to say that word. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, his English is the second language. So
okay.
So somebody said not binging. This is a question I got. Not binging when cravings hit. I mean, I think you have to get ahead of the cravings. That's why I get so kind of triggered by all the fasting. Yeah. Because I feel like the cravings are going to come when you're fasting.
It's starving yourself. Yeah.
When the cravings are there, it's because you're hungry.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend fasting, especially in the first 2, 3, 6 months of carnivore.
I think 6 months, honestly. Yeah. 6 months at least.
Yeah. I mean, when you see people fasting all the time, they've probably been carnivore for a year or more.
Yeah.
So
don't. Peterson's fasting, but she didn't start fasting until she was 2 years in, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
now she's doing it. And, you know, Dr. Remka, who you had on your channel as well, she says, you know, when she's clinically working with people, if they've ever had an eating disorder, she almost never tells them to fast ever, unless they really, really, really want to. And then she'll work very closely with them. But I think that's important to look at. You know, if you have a history of disordered eating, maybe fasting is, you know, not the best thing for you, just mentally. Because for me, anytime I've gone on a binge, it's because I felt restricted in some way. You know, it's like I'm acting out against feeling restricted, or just really hungry, can't get enough food. And you know what I've done since I'm doing the Carnivore 75 hard right now with Judy and all those people. So I'm staying strict carnivore for a full 75 days. And you know, over the weekend I ended up eating a little too much cheese. You know, but I'm not kicking myself about it, because me eating too much cheese, okay, I'm going to feel like crap for a few days. But if I was to go and eat too much sugar, or sugar period, yeah, I'd feel like crap for days. And then every day I would be craving sugar every single day. Like, I haven't had cheese since I went a little overboard on Saturday. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to just go the next 30 days without cheese. No big deal. It's fine. I'm eating extra meat. You know, I probably ate close to like over 2 pounds of meat yesterday, just to kind of deal with, like, you know, wanting the cheese or whatever. But it's different than sugar for me. It's just different, you know, just being satiated. So I think people sometimes feel, and then I was talking about it on my story, someone reached out to me and was like, I think I ate like 3 pounds of meat on Sunday because I was just so hungry. And it's like, good for you. That's good. Like, this is progress, you know, rather than going off and eating a bunch of crap. You eat 3 pounds of meat. Good choice, you know. Good choice.
And that's absolutely, and that's what I do. If I do have a day where I eat something that I really wish I hadn't eaten, which is like either cheese or a keto treat, then the next morning, sometimes, usually I don't eat till like 10 or 11, but sometimes I'll eat right off the bat, just to start that right on the right foot, and just to fill myself up so much that's like the thought of you really just can't eat. Physically, you just cannot eat anything else.
Yeah.
And it just puts it out of your mind.
Yeah, you want to stay away from that whole idea of like, I have to undo what I just did. And that's a hard one, I think, for people with disordered eating as well, of like, okay, you had too much cheese, or let's say you did have sugar, you know, the next day you're not going to throw yourself into a 72-hour fast, and you're not going to restrict your food. You're just going to eat some meat, you know, eat till you're satisfied, and don't deprive yourself, you know. So I think people, if they do end up, you know, having something on Thanksgiving and they're like, oh man, you know, just the next day, just, you know, I like that eating when you first wake up, because for me, if I've eaten something the day before, I'm really hungry the next day when I wake up. Even if I naturally just usually intermittent fast till 11 or 12 every day, if I've had something off, you know, carnivore the day before, I just wake up the next day hungrier, just because my body's probably flipped into, you know, more of like a glucose burning rather than a fat burning mode. And so I'm just naturally more hungry. So yeah, giving yourself permission to eat, I think, is so, so important.
Yeah, I'd say the worst thing you could do is say, well, I'm going to punish myself with some kind of a fast. Because that's just going to lead you, I think, back to another treat.
Yeah, I got through this fast, and I can, you know, now I can have another treat. So yeah.
And I mean, you just have to check in with yourself. Like, are you somebody who can have one keto treat on Thanksgiving and be done with it? Or is it going to set you on a path of 3 weeks of binging, you know, and you have to decide that for yourself? Or like, I feel like I have a safe zone of like, okay, well, I'm going to do one keto treat here. I may have a little more cheese over Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But that's that's the extent of my cheats. You know, I'm not eating sugar. I'm not going to, you know, maybe I'll have a Red Bull one day, you know, as a dessert with my husband or something. But I'm not seeking out you know, tons of sugar or bread or anything. And also, I mean, I have an autoimmune disease, so I have been gluten-free for many, many years. So I just don't go there. Like, it just doesn't enter my consciousness to think, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to eat a bunch of, you know, stuffing or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd say keep it gluten-free, keep it keto. And those things will keep you really in a pretty tight zone. Keep it sugar-free completely. And I think if you do that, you'll be pretty safe.
Yeah. I think so. I see a question. Someone wants to know, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting 18-6 every day?
I mean, I don't think of that as a fast. I mean, I think as long as it doesn't affect you, like, I don't like, because I usually eat, I like to eat an early dinner, and I like to eat about 11 and about 5 or something, or 10 and 5 or something like that. Now, that's what I like to do. Now, if my neighbors invite us to come over for steaks at 7:30, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not coming, you know, like, because I like to socialize, you know, or if my parents want to invite me, or, you know, if somebody invites me to a restaurant for lunch, and so I'll adjust, I'll eat lunch at 12, and, you know, I mean, so real life happens. So as long as it's not making you crazy, if it's giving you extra stress, then I don't think it's worth it. But if you're doing it effortlessly, which I think I do 18-6 a lot just without even thinking about it.
Same here,
16-8.
Yeah.
16-8 is, I think, more doable.
Yeah.
You know, that 18-6 to me is more like an OMAD. Sorry, I guess I can't read numbers. 18-6 is more like an OMAD, because, I mean, if you eat, how much are you going to be able to eat within 6 hours if you eat a big meal? There's no way you can eat another big meal. So you're basically eating an OMAD. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, how is it affecting you mentally? Yeah. Like, do you like it? I know, like, our friend our friend Laura, you know, has tried both different ways, and she seems like she likes OMAD better for her lifestyle. For me, I'm much better with the 2 meals, and whether that's it, you know, anywhere in the day, I'm better with that, because it makes me feel less restricted, and just depending on what I'm doing. But if I do OMAD, I get insane, and I get, like, pissed off, and I eat twice as much, and I'll make myself sick, and it's just not worth it. You know? Yeah, I mean, I'm like, coming from even like yoga teacher, meditation teacher kind of background, the more stressed out you are about, like, eating window or, like, what you're eating, the more, like, stressed out about it you are, the more your body is not going to do well with it, you know. And I'm like Caitlin, I do not like doing an OMAD. I would much rather do a 16-8. I do have those days sometimes where my eating went, like today, it's 2 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything yet. So, and I like to be done eating by 5 or 6, because then my sleep gets affected. So as soon as we jump off here, I'm going to have a ribeye, and then I may have, like, some ground beef or something, you know, 5 or 6. And that's like a, you know, 3-hour eating window. But I'm somebody who can kind of just do that. It doesn't, you know, I can eat all of that. It doesn't bother me. But I prefer, you know, having a meal at, like, noon and again at 6, or, you know, I like that, but you have to, like, make it fit your life so that it's not stressful. And I feel like, for me, I'm somebody who has family, like, I like to have a little something when they're eating too. Because then I start feeling deprived, or I want to just eat off their plates. And so, you know, the whole thing with the intermittent fasting, I think it should happen naturally. I don't think you should force it. And I think that, you know, you have to let it fit your lifestyle in the least stressful way, you know, and don't get so rigid about it. Cause I've made that mistake of just being super rigid about my eating times, and it's got to be this way. And then I just make everyone else miserable and myself miserable. And then it's like,
you're just boosting your cortisol. That's not so good for digestion or metabolism or any of that, you know? So
yeah, well, and if your body's breaking down lean muscle because you're so stressed out, then you're just going to be a fatter version of yourself.
It's true. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and so
yeah, just don't turn down social things. I mean, if it's making you crazy, just don't. I mean, I'm the same way. Like, I want to eat with my husband sometimes. Sometimes we eat together and he wants to eat later. Sometimes he's like, I ate a big lunch. I don't want any dinner. So I'll just eat whenever I want to. It's just, but I don't want to ever say, yeah, that I can't do something, you know, because that to me impedes on the social and the quality of life issue, you know?
Yeah, you want to be happy and live your life. And, you know, that's the whole thing about, you know, what is around this whole conversation about the holidays. It it can be a very enjoyable time of the year. It can be fun to socialize and to do things and, you know, find stuff that you enjoy, looking at Christmas lights or like hiking or being outside or, you know, just music or things that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be all about the food and what time you eat and the desserts and all that stuff. I think that we just place way too much importance on that stuff. And then for people like me, I'm definitely a food addict, sugar addict. It can make me spiral. So my pattern would always be binge on Halloween candy. Okay. And then before you know it, like I've just kind of done what I wanted to, and it's Thanksgiving, you know, and then I blow it out on Thanksgiving. And then it's like, you know, you're snacking here and there, going to parties, and Christmas comes. And then January 1st, you've got 20 pounds to lose. Like every January, it's like, oh, I got to lose 20 pounds. I mean, because that's how quickly I can just gain weight, you know? So part of this for me is like, and then I don't enjoy the holidays at all because I've gained a bunch of weight and I don't fit into my clothes and I worry what everyone's going to think about me and, oh, they're talking about me or, you know, so what I want for people is just to have a stress-free holiday season, you know, to stop putting all the importance on the food and people pleasing and just like enjoy yourself. You know, and that's going to look different for different people. You know, it could be keto treats here and there. It could be, hey, I'm just going to have a little extra cheese on those days because I love cheese and it's not something that I normally, you know, want to be eating. So, yeah. Yeah. Did you have any other questions on yours or?
I mean, mostly it was about just how to handle the sweets and stuff. And I feel like we've gone over just don't go in hungry. I think you're going to be a lot stronger. Yeah. And don't try to restrict. I feel like some people on carnivore, they get in that mindset. They're so stuck in that low fat mindset or the low calorie mindset. And it's totally, you have to let go of that completely with carnivore. You have to just eat as much as you possibly can in order, because you cannot be, I mean, somebody was asking me the other day, so do I start carnivore with a fast? She's like, no. So I was like, go shopping and eat. You know, that's it. So, you know, same thing with a party. Don't go in there, you know, on fumes. Go in there full and or have a big plate of food in your hand ready to go. Like, then you're going to be a lot stronger and able to make better decisions and, you know, have your salt in your purse and, you know, have lots of water. And
I bring LaCroix in my purse just in case, like, they don't have that. I'm like, I just like to sip on something like you with the decaf coffee. I just like to have seltzer water or something to just kind of sip on because it. Yeah,
I'm in your hands. And you don't want to be stuck with, there's only like Coca-Cola to drink or something. Sweet tea down here, you know.
Oh, yeah.
One or the other.
Exactly.
So awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, unless you have anything to add to that. I think this was like super helpful conversation for me and hopefully helpful to people who watched. And I'm going to put it on my YouTube and I'll make sure to link your stuff also.
Yeah, just stay tuned. My ebook is coming out really soon. It's a 30-day carnivore challenge.
Yay.
So
Do you think that'll be out in time for January, or you're not?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
In a week or two or something like that.
Very cool.
All right. Yeah, make sure and, subscribe to my channel, and all my stuff is grass-fed girl. So thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks guys. And you've got some cool recipes up on your blog, your newsletter, also some holiday recipes as well.
Well, I'm putting some keto recipes for my subscribers at grassfedlist.com. I have a lot of keto recipes, over 600 keto recipes on my blog.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome resource for you guys that you do want some of those keto, holiday things. So awesome.
I do have some turkey legs that are carnivore that are going out to my newsletter. They're really good. Just the legs, so you can have the fatty part.
That sounds good. That's all I don't want the breast anymore. I just want the skin and the fat. Yeah. It's so crazy how times have changed for me. Like, give me skin, give me the dark meat. I don't want anything to do with the with the tender like breast meat. No, thank you.
Well, thanks so much for having me on, Sarah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, have a great day and have an awesome Thanksgiving.
You too. Happy holidays.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.